Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you also for the opportunity to be here. In fact, I jumped in for my colleague from Volkswagen, but you see in Germany the close cooperation between the private and the public sector, which is already one reason for our success, social dialogue. But coming to your question, I think the German model also went through the papers, and I think a lot of issues there are already well known. Just to remind a few. First, it's quite clear that Germany was well prepared for the crisis, because already before the crisis we introduced some labor market reform with more flexibility in the labor market. This already gave to the labor market probably the foundations for this relatively good reaction. And then in the crisis, we reacted also with specific labor market policies. I think they have been quoted partly in the presentations. I think our general feeling was that we have to take an active stance, in particular with regard to qualifying on the supply side, because these kind of investments are costly, but they are not lost. It was thought not to be really a social security measure, but more a measure which was also focused on improving the performance of the economy and being prepared also for a kind of upswing later. There's this word of creative destruction by Schumpeter, and probably it's very much relevant in the context of looking at human resources. We know that what is destructed in the crisis sometimes it's not creative, I want to say, as it cannot easily be built up after the crisis. So maintaining this asset, human resources in the crisis, can be a good investment. And therefore you have the word in the World Bank that gender policies are good, smart economics. One can say active labor market policies earmarked at the supply can be smart economics, and not only social security focus and objective. So this a little bit to the context. Perhaps one additional point. It's macro policies. Germany in the beginning of 90s was in a bad situation, not only because economically, because of the reunification, but also because of the kind of overvalued exchange rate. And with restrictive policies, we brought the real exchange rate down. And now it's quite low, and probably that's one of the factors why we have a dynamic economic development now with a good labor market performance. We try to learn from this experience in our development cooperation. For example, we are following a comprehensive approach where we look at labor demand, but in particular also labor supply, with very focused support for vocational training, for training activities, also very much earmarked at the youth and at the young people, because we know it's a tremendous asset for a society, but it can also be a tremendous problem for a society. And for example, the demographic dividend in some countries, developing countries like North Africa, in fact, at the moment, it's not a demographic dividend, it's more the other way. So one really has to look at these investments in order to make it a dividend. So we try to learn from this experience in our development cooperation. There we very much focus on creating high quality jobs and on such issues like youth employment.